Oh,
Hi, I'm Kristen, author of The Age of the Child.
Hi, I'm Isabel, founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark.
Hi, I'm LeNora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper, and we are the 3 founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. In this episode, we're going to be discussing who is going to be taking care of you when you get older. So the question I have for you two is, are people still viewing old age as, okay, we're going to get put away into a nursing home instead of actually living until you die? Are we still using that mindset?
I have a fear of that. I would like to think that I could be writing or doing whatever, just staying active and involved and productive until the day I die. I think it's more a question of how will you afford to continue living when you're beyond, because not everybody can work, until the day they die. They have physical limitations or like my husband is forced to retire from his current job on his 65th birthday. He can't work past 65 at that job. So that's when you would want to make sure you've put some money aside for yourself. But there are situations in which you can't work beyond a certain age. So then it becomes, do you have the money to live and eat and pay rent or your mortgage and visit the doctor and the dentist and all that stuff?
I don't really fear. I think the whole putting somebody in like a nursing home or something, it's generational, I guess, in Colombia. So my grandmother was really scared of that because for her generation and generations before that, putting somebody in a nursing home meant that they were going to just like abandon that person, basically. So it's a given that people like family members take care of other family members, whereas their siblings or in most cases, it is something that they actually require from their children in general. My mom, she's like really looking forward to getting into a nursing home, actually. She's like, just put me in a nursing home. I'll just, be there with the old people. And she's not working anymore. She just gets her pension. And she's like, she's okay. And I've always thought for myself, I'm not really too concerned about that, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to be productive until the day I die. I hope so. But if I can't, because for whatever reason, then, being in a nursing home doesn't bother me, or having help, for somebody to feed me or whatever it is that I would need. That really doesn't bother me. What would really bother me, well, I don't know to what extent because I've never been through it, but I think it's scary, the thought to be ill and to still have your full, like, mental conscious sense. Like your body is not responding, but your head is like crystal clear. That I'm fucking scared of. Yeah, because it takes like, can you imagine like seeing your body decay and feeling how it's not working anymore and like having your mind know what's happening? That's really scary for me.
I'm still fascinated by how many people that I speak with still think that getting old is an unproductive phase in your life. I remember a specific conversation at a family reunion with older relatives, and they were teasing me about, Lenora's just going to go to an old folks home and that'll be it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to my mountain chalet and sit and write until I'm 90 something and then just die. Like I think because I have never achieved the level that I want to, that I know I'm capable of. And I see it like as a 20-year-old, I thought, okay, I have to have everything accomplished by the time I was 25. That was my thought process. And now as a 37-year-old, I'm thinking, my gosh, like every decade, there's so many things I can do and that I'm going to want to do. So I don't see old age as an unproductive phase. Of course, things can go wrong, but if that's all I think about, well, what's going to happen? Like, I don't view, there's so many things that a person can do. And I'm just surprised that people still have that thought here. I mean, even amongst my own family, that's how you view older years. Like after, 70, you're done. Like if it's those people with that mindset who are asking those questions, who are asking me, who's going to take care of you when you get old. I find that
it was more about money. I thought it was more about, like, seriously, you beyond a certain age, at least in this country, hardly anybody will hire you. Unless you have saved and prepared for whatever retirement is, because not everything everybody does makes money either. I mean,
right.
So regardless of in what way you are productive or aren't productive, there's no guarantee you're going to continue making money beyond the age of, 65 or 70. So you need to have money regardless. You need to have it somewhere.
But think of all the people who are supporting their adult children and supporting the grandkids. And they're in their 70s and 80s. Like I worked with a lady who was still supporting her daughter and her daughter's children who were 25 and still
I'm not saying
working.
It's not possible. I'm just saying you need to plan for it, because people will rely on at the very minimum, if someone has a kid who will take care of them and who will give them a room to stay in, you at least have that if you have nothing else. But everybody should be prepared for the time when they're going to need money, kids aside. Kids or no kids.
Absolutely.
It's just a planning thing. It's just practical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel that, I don't know, what I've seen in generations like my mom's is that they all had their 9-to-5 jobs. They would say maybe 20 odd years in the same company or whatever. Like that longevity for them meant that you were reliable and you were responsible. Like they don't understand why millennials just keep on changing jobs, basically. They don't get why people would go into being an entrepreneur. So I think for my mom and for their generation, it was like, okay, it's time to like rest. I've been giving my 9-to-5 during 30, 40, whatever years to, whomever else. I have already my retirement done. Like I can go into retirement with a pension. So I have my money. I'll be fine. I need to rest. Like I need to just really don't do anything. But in my case specifically, and I think maybe you girls can relate to this, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to travel the world. So I'm going to have I'm not going to say a tougher time, but it's going to be an exercise in really being very organized, like you just mentioned, Kristen, about, putting money aside or whatever, because I would love to do this forever. But because the thing is, when you're doing something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work, right? So I guess you wouldn't want to like rest from it in a way. It's like, I can do it until wherever. But if something fails, your mind, your body, whatever it is, and you can't do it anymore, then yes, you need to have a plan. That's for sure.
So what is your guys' plan? How are you two going to take care of me when I get old?
We're going to buy one of those. We'll buy one of those old lady villas, like there are these women who are buying like a little teeny neighborhood or a bunch of houses close together, and we'll just have like little row houses or something so we can do proof of life checks every morning.
Actually, but I wanted to bring this up. The sense of developing your own community, or not your own community, but developing a sense of community as you live through life. I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, but my dad always told me, like, be friends with the younger generation, because that's who's going to take care of you when you get older. Now, he chose to do a religious lifestyle where that was kind of the thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you had kids or not. If you belong to a religion, it's the church, the people in the church take care of you, because he'd seen that with another relative of his who was cared for, and it wasn't even family members. So my dad went the religious route as far as building a sense of community. So, and I'm not interested in going that way, but I always think of somehow, whether it's creating something that gives you a following or allows you to connect with people on a certain level that you are cared for, whether, physically or just, people care about your well-being. That's how I view it. Like, people just kind of get into their own little bubble and say, okay, I'm going to have X number of kids and they're going to have X number of kids. And that's how I'm creating my little community to take care of me. But yet we can actually create communities in different ways, where even if it's just someone sending you good vibes, like, or sending them, they say thoughts and prayers, whatever you believe, even that is better than nothing. And I just feel that we're not encouraged to develop a sense of community in a way that suits you outside of procreating.
There was a study, it was in a Malcolm Gladwell book, and I forget the title of the book, but there was this community of people who seemed to live longer than everybody else. It wasn't their diet. It wasn't, their amount of exercise. I think maybe no one there had ever had a heart attack or something really extreme in the health department and longevity. And the only difference between that place and the other places they studied was their very, very strong feeling of community. They all, like everyone there knew each other, and they were basically all kind of like family. It was just having a support system like that, or a support network, or, just extended family of people like that. Yeah. Was it an Outliers? It might have been an Outliers. Okay. And it's just incredible how important it is to have that kind of bolstering of your existence. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, but just having people seems to be absolutely critical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would agree with that even without having read, because that rang a bell. That's why I was like,
okay.
I was looking at my library. But the thing is, I mean, for example, personally, so before I go into what I want to go into, to the comment that LeNora made about, people having children, who would have children, who would just, we've talked about this many times. There is absolutely no guarantee that if you have children and they have children in turn, they're going to take care of you. So there's no guarantee at all. So I, for one of the things that I would really, really want to do, and it's actually in my bucket list, is really to create a retirement community for childfree people. So it would be like you just, sort of like you mentioned, like, I don't know, maybe it would be a whole neighborhood, or maybe not a whole neighborhood, maybe just, a few houses or whatever. But, just knowing that you have that community there, that support, people who know what you're going through, people who understand, people who can you relate to, and just in general, like, can you imagine when you're 70 or 80 years old talking to somebody and talking about everything that you achieved in their child-free life? How cool would that be? Just exchanging all those experiences. So I feel that is a really good possibility for me. Of course, doesn't take away the fact that I have to save up, I have to have money, and I have to make sure that I'm going to be able to sustain myself during those years. But I think definitely community is it's going to be a big part of it. Yeah.
I see that happening more and more as a necessity because, look at how much the child-free community is trying to build something now as it is, and we're I don't speak for the majority, but we're all fairly young, and the ones that are talking about it. So, as the younger generations become more aware of this lifestyle choice and choose it for themselves. I mean, it's just naturally going to, I don't know, how did old folks' homes get started in the first place? Because in Canada, it's fairly common, or like the elder living where they advertise all the glamorous stuff you can do. It's like basically living on a cruise ship in a building. They have all of the amenities. My grandmother's lived in these, and they're fantastic. You have all the socializing things, and everybody wants to get their parents into that because the kids still want to travel as their kids are having their own children. So everybody just wants freedom, and they don't want to look after the elderly people, which is fair. And so these lifestyle communities are popping up all over the place and very popular because they have everything that they could want, including proper caregivers, that are trained. So, and then the grandkids or kids come and visit whenever they feel like it, I mean, so I don't know how that all got started, but there was a need for it. So there is going to be a need for child-free communities for older people, which I'm all for.
You just reminded me of a story I read somewhere. Can't remember what it was. This lady, she's American, and she's a widow, and with her pension and whatever her husband left her or something, I think she doesn't have any children either. She cannot afford a home in the US. Like, it's too expensive. So what she does is she sails around the world in a cruise all the time, 365 days a year, because it's cheaper than living in actual, mainland. So she's just cruising along, she's just going her cruise, and it's actually she's like, I have enough until I'm 110 and I don't think I'm going to last that much. So, we can do it.
I'd be all for that. Or
That
even a
is really
hotel.
cool.
I've read women have done that, like staying in a hotel, like a decent hotel, like just have like a, maid service, room service, works out.
Yeah.
Kristen's like, sign me up for that.
I love hotels. I would happily live in a hotel.
Yeah. You know what? The one thing that I think this is maybe one of my irrational fears, but I'm kind of I'm a bit of a hoarder. And the one thing that I'm like really, really worried about, and I'm not even close to retiring, but it's just the amount of stuff that I have. Like, what am I going to do with all this? Like, I like my stuff. And it's like, if I go to like a retirement home, I only have like a bedroom. Like, where am I going to put all my stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I worry about that. It's just really silly, but it's like, and like, I have an old radio. It's huge. It was my grandfather's. Like, he bought it back in the 1950s. I have it with me, and I'm like, who am I going to like lift this radio to? Like, who's going to inherit it? But it's just things, in the end. So
you can fit a lot of stuff in one of those rooms. When I drove a cab, sometimes people would call the cab to have things delivered. And there was a woman living in a retirement home. Her husband had died at some point. I don't know, but she had a picture of those two together in the 1940s, probably when they first got together. But I delivered to her a carton of cigarettes and I think a bottle of something. And she just kind of hangs out in her room and has drinks, smokes her cigarettes, but she had so much stuff. I mean, it wasn't hoarder like on the TV, but there was a lot of stuff in there. And it was probably all of her most special things. But if you have enough shelves, I think you can stack up a lot.
You don't even need shelves. You just need floor space and like 4 walls and a roof. Because 2 years ago, I helped clean out my uncle's house, and 2 the largest dumpsters we could rent later, plus 2 estate sales, and the house still has stuff in it. It's like all of my old birthday cards or birthday cards that I, as a child, ever wrote to him, letters, family stuff, but just he liked to yard sale. So on a surface level, we all accumulate things, and it's never really going to go or be used with the intent that we wished it were used. Like, I would love to say, oh, my nephews are going to love and care for the 120-year-old violin that I have, whatever. Like, they're not musical. Like, it's just, really, it doesn't matter. It's like, you just enjoy what you have, enjoy what you can do. I think that's the thing that annoys me the most about that question of who's going to take care of you. It's like, sometimes life forces you just to really enjoy what you have now because you don't know what's happening tomorrow. That question takes away from enjoying life now. And it's like this thing of we have to suffer now to get rewards later, which that's what I view parenthood as.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, well, who's going to take care of you when you get older means, don't you think that even if you don't want kids, you should get pregnant, carry the pregnancy, and then raise a baby into adulthood every single day for the rest of your life, just so maybe you have someone to take care of you when you're older. So don't enjoy your life now so that maybe you can enjoy it later for less amount of time, like in the remaining years you have left instead of now.
And less of ability. I mean, when you're able-bodied, I don't know about you two, but every morning, like, I wiggle my fingers and toes, and no matter what's going on in my life, I'm like, okay, I still have a full functioning body. My brain works. I don't have to think about how, like, everything works. So I am still, like, I don't have chronic stiffness. I mean, yes, I don't feel as loose as I did when I was 20. I've never been flexible anyway, so whatever. But, you do realize that you still have, like, you function. So why not enjoy that?
I get through by never having any plans or any expectations.
And actually, that works too. I would think I'd be the last person to agree with that, but I'm kind of at that point right now.
I mean, I've never planned anything. I never wanted to get married. I've never.
We're like polar opposites in that sense. Like LeNora, she really likes to like plan, and she's like, and Kristen is like, just go with the flow, and it's too.
But we've ended up in the same place. Here we are. So, like, I mean, really, whatever your approach is, doesn't matter.
Well, where do you fall, Isabel?
I'm like in between you guys. I tend to plan for some things, but I tend to just go with the flow for others. So I'm not really planning too much for my retirement years. That I can tell you, which I'm supposed to. I know I'm supposed to, and I'm curious about the whole will thing. I've heard LeNora mention this so many times. So like, I have a will. I have like my papers prepared. Like I have nothing like that. If I die tomorrow, I have no idea what's going to happen with my stuff. You know what I mean? I don't really care, to be honest, but I should be making sure that they go to maybe my sister or, whoever.
It just makes it easier. Cause I know
Kristen, it makes it easier on the person behind.
Yeah. If it's more of a concern that if I were still alive physically, but unable to make my own decisions, who would make decisions on my behalf? So I have appointed somebody who I trust, who knows me, who would follow through. If that person's dead, well, then it goes to the next person. But at least I have some control that way, because that does matter to me a lot. I don't want that to happen, but that for me is that puts me more at ease than funeral planning. Because that is something that you can do now when you are well and capable. You can appoint someone who genuinely cares about you, because that's the point. They want people have children. Okay, the ones that use that excuse, they're hoping that their children will love and care and respect their needs enough.
Right, that's a key
to follow those through. But we all know life doesn't always work that way. Children are no children, right?
I mean, everyone can get greedy. I mean, there are kids who kill their parents for money.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And the thing is, here's the other thing, is that you may think, well, this does not apply to my family. But you don't know until there's money involved. You do not know how your family is going to react. So if you don't have money, or you don't have the amount of money that you think this stuff happens to you, because a lot of people say, oh, well, they're so rich that of course everybody's greedy. Everyone's got a different thing about money, right? Like, you don't know until you're actually suddenly there's money involved, and you've got no idea what your family would, how they would react.
It's true. It's disgusting. So don't trust anybody. Well, kids are not, though. I mean, any planning that we would do without children is something anybody should do, regardless of whether you have children. I mean, even if you have them.
Okay, so my question to you two then is, what does your ideal future look like as far as, let's say, 65 and on?
I'm going to be traveling the world still. Like, I'm going to be that crazy lady with the short silver hair, like kite surfing, and just, that's what I love, that's what I love. And I see myself doing that well into my golden years, or whatever you want to call them. I see myself still coaching. I see myself really not having any attachment to like a physical space, because I want to be free that way up until my body like gives up, and body, at some point your body's going to be really tired, I guess. I mean, and at that point I'll say, okay, I'm just going to like come into my Childfree retirement community and just, chill with my homies.
I don't know what I really, because I'm not a planner in that way, and I mean, when I was 17, I didn't have any concept of being 30, and I had no idea what would happen or if I would even be alive. Like, it just didn't make sense to me to see that. Not like I was, I had a death wish or anything, or was suicidal. I just couldn't envision adulthood. So it's hard for me to envision old age, but I would like to imagine that I'll still be doing a lot of walking and exercising to stay zippy. I'm just kind of a zippy person. Like, I do things quickly, and I'd like to still have that kind of energy, and I would obviously still like to be writing. I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to still be writing and having the mental capacity to do that. Simple.
I just want to feel like I'm finally able to express awesomely how I feel and my ideas. Like, I hope by that point I am able to create what I feel at a faster rate. You know, like with writing and music and all that sort of thing, there's many specific things I want to accomplish, but it's just the feeling, the satisfaction of knowing I am able to express myself in a way that reaches people. Just even conversations with people like, well, you know, what you're going to do doesn't matter, or what you do doesn't matter, and no one's going to be around to share your message and whatnot. It's like, well, no, if you've been able to express yourself and reach other people, people will pass that on for you in other ways, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's from a creative standpoint, because I am creative. So that's my hope for my future, is that I'm able to, in whatever capacity, just express myself clear.
I would like to express. I'd like to express my confusion over Isabel's fantasy of short silver hair. Why?
Long silver hair for me. I have long silver hair now. Like, it's like 2 strands, but
I guess I just want to. I just see myself as this like really active old lady who has no time to go to the, you know, to get her hair done or whatever, because that's what old ladies do, right? Like, that's my idea. You just spend a lot.
They get little curls. They get those little teeny curls. You gonna get those?
No, that's the thing. They're always at the hairdressers. Like, you see them there, like getting their coif done or whatever. And it's just like, for me, it's just a waste of time. I just want to be like a salty person in the ocean all the time, and like I just need short hair for that.
What color hair do you want to have when you're old, Kristen?
I would like to think that I'll reach the point when I'm okay with it being all gray. I have this streak. I have a gray streak growing that I think is amazing. I love it. But I'm not quite sure how I feel about a full head of gray yet. But I do have a fantasy of having it like kind of like the dark gray with the white streaks. You know, I would want some coloring in it to make it not just gray. I'd want it to have like cool kind of white highlights or something, but long.
I have those. My temples are all like gray silver highlights. I don't know if you can see that right now, but they are. They're just here. I got that from my parents. Like, both my parents had, like, I haven't colored my hair, and like I don't dye my hair. I just let it grow naturally, but it's here. I have inherited that from my parents, so it's here, and a few long strands here. And I'm like, I like long hair, so I want mine to be white, because I think maybe women of color like to have we have the blonde fantasy, right? So if my hair is just naturally white, then that would look cool. But that can come later. I'm good with this right now, because I'm not even 40 yet, and like my mom thinks, like, I didn't get my dad's dark black African hair. I got my white mother's Irish hair that goes gray at the temples. So anyway.
I like silver hair. I'm going to keep my full head of silver as soon as it, you know. My sister, not like, I have just a few silver hairs here and there. White hairs, not silver, like white hairs. My sister, she's like, can I pluck them? She's just like, follows me. I need to pluck them. I'm like, keep your hands away from hair. Leave my hair alone. I'm fine with that. You know, it's part of aging. I'm not even 40 yet either, but I like them. They're there, you know.
Well, that's the thing. And I guess as we wrap up, I want to speak to a comment that we were talking about in chat about that someone left on a YouTube comment we had left somewhere else. They were talking about lonely and bitter child-free women, or lonely and bitter childless women.
Where does this bitterness come from? Who's bitter?
well, that's just it, because there's this misconception, and this actually does tie in with this topic, is that we're just going to be sitting around, the three of us in our rocking chairs. I'm in a rocking chair right now, actually, griping about our lonely life. And I'm like, my first response is, look, if that's what you're wishing on people, if that's what you think, that's just coming back to you. And that stupid childhood thing that we say on the playground, everything that what you say to me bounces off me and sticks to you, whatever.
I remember your glue.
But as I get older and understand how things are, I'm like, actually, well, no, that's true. Like, if you say something negative, you actually feel that effect. So it's more speaking to their mindset. But I really, the thing that excites me about getting older is showing people that, look, old and bitter is not your destiny if you choose not to have children. Because for some reason, certain people seem to think that. And you know what? I mean, whatever. They're if they view you that way, they're going to always view you that way. And it's not like we're doing this to change people's minds, but I just want, you know, like, not a hopeful attitude, but it's like this knowing that, hey, your life is going, if you work hard at it or make the effort and choose to be happy, life supports you that way. Okay, maybe that gets to the life supporting thing. If you get to choose, right? And somehow things work out.
Yeah, they don't understand that the people who are bitter are the people who do things they don't want to do.
Yes,
or who don't do the things they desperately want to do. That's where bitterness comes from. So, so their assumption is that secretly we want children, or who cares? Who cares? Who cares what they think?
I know. and there are certain people that aren't bothered by that. I'm one of them. They can comment like that to me all the time, but there are people that are not quite sure of their choice and not quite sure. They're not that confident yet. Like they're developing.
And then those people ruin it for them because they scare the shit out of them.
Yes. Which is why we're here to help you not be so scared, because we want you to enjoy life. Without kids, if that's what you choose to do, because it's a choice. And oh my gosh, I'm just like, suddenly have this vision of all of us like white-haired still doing this. Which is great. We're sitting here like our nurses are like looking after us. We're still doing this show. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I think technology will evolve even further. We can just holograph ourselves in looking like this, even though we're 90. Well, that is all for this episode. Thank you for watching. We hope we have entertained you and given you something to think about. You can always send us your thoughts at childfreegirls@gmail.com, which is our email. And we have a blog. Catch us on the behind the scenes blog. That is new on our website as well. We'll leave a link to the website below. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the 3 primary social media places you can find us most active. Of course, we are on Pinterest and TikTok and LinkedIn, but the first 3 are the best. So everything's down below. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We love it when you leave comments, good, bad, or ugly, whatever. And yes, thank you for watching. Do you have any plans for your retirement?
Cool. And if you do, leave them in the comments below here on YouTube.
Oh.